Hey, Samuel, after I came back to the United States from Japan, where I had spoken only Japanese for 3 years, I talked to myself in Japanese and dreamed in Japanese. So after this, um, I got I was still in the Japanese track, so I got a job at the Japanese embassy. I was a local employee for the Japanese embassy, where I got to use my Japanese all day long. And at about the same time, I was the telecommunications manager, by the way, something I was completely unprepared for, but that I really loved. I helped install a new PBX telephone switch in the brand new embassy on Massachusetts Avenue. But at the same time, I also got work as a regular tour guide for a local tour company that showed Japanese tourists around the DC area. And I would go out in a bus filled with Japanese tourists and show them the sights of Washington, D.C. And I did this with almost no preparation. I read one book about the Washington, D.C. area for tourists and memorized some facts from it. And then I just started working. And it didn't seem to matter at all because the Japanese were not really that interested. These tourists, they didn't care that much about facts and all the dates and the names of the people who did different things in the DC area. What they really liked were my jokes in Japanese, which I had gotten good at when I was on TV in Osaka with Katsura Bunshin. So I gotten pretty good at one-liner jokes. And really, I would ride around in a charter bus with a group of tourists, crack some jokes, throw out a few bits of information, and I got good tips. It was a really nice part-time job. And I later went on, and when I moved to Seattle, I did the same thing, giving walking tours of Seattle in English and in Japanese. So I liked tour guiding. The most important lesson that I learned was that once you have your tour course set, find out where the bathrooms are. Because if you've got a busload of people who are wanting to use the bathroom, they're not paying any attention and they're not going to be very good clients for you. So to increase my tips, I'd always take a trip around on the course that I had set and make a mark of where the public bathrooms were so we could stop on a regular basis. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope that you get a tour of DC with your parents one of these days. And when you do, think of me uh, holding up my little flag in the air. Because one thing I learned about the Japanese is they're wonderful to be a tour guide for because they want to stick together. They don't like to wander off. And so once you hold up that flag, you don't have to say anything. They'll all gather behind you and follow you around close enough to listen to so where they can hear all of your jokes. Americans, on the other hand, when you see an American tour group, at least half of the people in the group are wandering off and trying to pretend that they're not a member of the group, especially the younger people. So maybe that's another career move for you, man. Learn some good Japanese and get out with your little flag, and you can get some work like I did for it was about 2 or 3 years. And while I was doing that, I was also doing some chauffeur work for Japanese. I got work guiding and driving for Japanese business people mostly, and I would drive them around the city. And they would come in for the International Monetary Fund meetings or the World Bank or things like that, and I would drive them around. And one thing I learned about that job, if to get a good tip, it was better if I pretended I couldn't speak the Japanese, because they were much more comfortable sitting behind me in the limousine, thinking if that I couldn't understand them, whereas really I could understand them. I didn't hear any great secrets, but just the off chance that I might be able to overhear something made them a little uncomfortable. So I just pretended I didn't speak any Japanese. I was just another ignorant American, and would get good tips. So that's a lot of my Japanese usage there in Japan, in Washington, D.C. And it really paid off for me. And it was a lot of fun too. So I hope you're enjoying these videos. I hope you are watching some more of them. And I hope we can see each other and talk about some things pretty soon. Take care, buddy, and take care of your mom and dad. Bye.